Hey guys, it's Taya and today, Saffron the Yellow Fairy again. The Magic Hive. We have to find out where this commie came from, Rachel said excitedly. Yes, Kirsty agreed. Mom, can we stay here a bit longer, please? As long as it's okay with Mrs. Mary, Kirsty's mum replied. Mrs. Mary beamed. Of course they can stay, she said kindly. Mr. and Mrs. Tate decided to carry on with their walk. Make sure you come back to Dolphin Cottage by lunchtime, Kirsty's mum said. We will, Kirsty promised. Come along then, girls, Mrs. Mary set off. Mrs. Mary set off across the green lawn. Rachel and Kirsty followed her down the garden to some old and twisted apple trees. Also, please don't judge me if I make mistakes. 6 wooden hives stood underneath. Kirsty stared at the row of hives. Which one did the honey we tasted come from? Mrs. Mary looked pleased. Did you enjoy it? The honey from that hive tastes especially good at the moment. Rachel and Kirsty grinned at each other. I think we might know why, Rachel whispered to Kirsty. Yes, Kirsty agreed. It could be fairy honey. That's the one, Mrs. Mary said proudly. The very bottom of the garden, one hive stood there all alone beneath the biggest apple tree. As they drew nearer to the hive, a sleepy buzzing sound drifted up into the air. The bees in this hive are very peaceful in odd ways, said Mrs. Mary. I never known them to be so happy. Can we get a bit closer? Rachel asked eagerly. She couldn't wait to find Mrs. Mary. No. Can we get a bit closer? Rachel asked eagerly. She couldn't wait to find out if the hive had a magical secret. Mrs. Mary looked thoughtful. I think it's safe, with the bees so quiet. I think it's safe, she decided, but you better wear a hood like mine, just in case. She went into a nearby shed and brought out 2 beekeeper hoods. Here you are. Rachel and Kirsty pulled the hood over their heads. It was a bit dark and stuffy inside, but they could see out of the fine netting. They moved closer to the hive. The soft buzzing sounded almost like music. We need to open it and have a look, Kirsty whispered to Rachel. Rachel nodded. But they couldn't start searching for the yellow fairy with Mrs. Mary there. Ruby had warned them that no grown-up should see the fairies. Suddenly, Kirsty had an idea. Mrs. Mary, could I have a drink of water, please? She asked. Of course you can, dear, Mrs. Mary said. She went off towards the cottage. The girls waited until Mrs. Mary disappeared inside. Quick, Kirsty spun around. Let's open the hive. Rachel grasped one end of the lid. Kirsty took hold of the other end. They pulled hard and it slowly came loose with a squeaky sound. Strings of golden honey stretched down from the lid. Watch out, it's very sticky, Rachel said. The girls bent down and laid the heavy wooden top carefully on the ground. Kirsty wiped her fingers on the grass. Look, Rachel whispered as she stood up. Kirsty turned up to see and gasp. A shower of sparkling gold shot up out of the hive. It hung in a soft cloud, shimmering and dancing in the sunlight. Fairy dust! Rachel leaned over and peered down into the hive. A tiny girl was sitting cross-legged on a piece of honeycomb in the middle of a golden sea of honey. A bee laid with its head in her lap while she combed its silky hair. Several other bees were waiting their turn, buzzing gently. "Oh," Rachel whispered, "we found another rainbow fairy." Bee Friends is next. Hope you all enjoyed, even though it's been 5 minutes.